After 1953, a shift to pro-market political thinking occurred, and doctrinal shifts in economic theory ratified them. An obvious conundrum arose, however. Those favoring expanded use of market relations in socialism discarded a major element of Marxist theory, namely that the admittedly distant historical stage after socialism, full communism, would have no market. The founders of Marxism forecast that full communism meant no market. How can maximum use of the market in the socialist stage be followed immediately by its complete absence in the next stage? In a 1969 work, Categories and Laws of the Political Economy of Communism, an economist who had been close to Khrushchev buried in a long paragraph the notion that the use of commodity-money relation accelerates the advance to full communism, and that in some unexplained way, socialism grows over into full communism, while admitting widespread theoretical discussion of this most complex problem of the political economy of socialism is in its modern stage of development. Similar views were expressed in the development in Chinese political economy after 1978. Komorturova in Albania Today pointed out some of these ideas. He states, "They claim that the concepts of a planned economy and a market economy do not in the least contradict each other. That the law of value should be utilized as a regulator since it stands above all the other economic laws. That production should change in step with market changes. That unified distribution of the means of production and unified purchase of consumer goods by the state are not good." In the book Socialism Betrayed, this is described as right opportunism. Right opportunism usually takes the form of an accommodation rather than struggle with capitalism, domestic and foreign. It also sometimes appears as an advocacy of respecting realities rather than struggling to change them, a one-sidedly evolutionary approach to building socialism, and a yielding to objective circumstances. It seeks a quick and easy route to socialism by the path of least resistance. This habit of thought tends to overestimate the automatic, spontaneous nature of the process of creating the new system, and to overemphasize the buildup of productive forces as key to socialism's development, while downplaying the need to perfect the relations of production, that is, the struggle to eliminate classes. And now for comparison. To encourage agricultural production, Khrushchev reverted to NEP-type measures. He reduced taxes on individual plots and eliminated taxes on individual livestock. He encouraged people, villages, and towns to keep more privately owned cows, pigs, and chickens, and to cultivate private gardens. In May 1957, Khrushchev abolished the 30-plus central planning ministries and replaced them with over 100 local economic councils. Khrushchev also introduced two new ideas about the party and the state: the idea that the CPSU had changed from the vanguard of the working class to the vanguard of the whole people, and that the dictatorship of the proletariat had become the state of the whole people. Deng Xiaoping maintained that they needed to continue combining economic planning with market forces regulations, and that China would never again need to be a country that kept its doors closed, or where the economy was held under rigid control. The reforms began in agriculture and in the countryside. Agricultural production was decollectivized. The people's communes were dissolved, and instead responsibilities were privatized. In 1979, the system for specialized households was introduced. This happened first within agriculture and later in other sectors. Local directors became responsible for surplus or deficits. Instead of collective and communal ownership, ownership was privatized and a contract system was introduced. Following reforms were implemented within agriculture. 1. Individual farming was reintroduced. The state would only buy agricultural products from each individual family. 2. Farmer families could sell their surplus on local markets, and authorities promoted free market sales of food. 3. The people's commune's jurisdiction was abolished, including responsibilities regarding making employment available to the public. The CPC has done a thorough analysis of the collapse of the Soviet Union. It is purported that their best hypothesis is that the collapse was set in motion with de-Stalinization under Khrushchev. There is certainly a popular defense in online Marxist-Leninist communities that in comparison to the CPSU, the CPC did not denounce Mao and that Mao's portrait still hangs in Tiananmen Square to this day. It is an idealist understanding to see de-Stalinization as merely denouncing Stalin and removing his name and likeness from across the USSR. De-Stalinization was a complete reversal of Stalin's economic policies such as collectivization. This same idealism is at fault when an analysis maintains that there was no revisionism because Deng Xiaoping upheld Mao Zedong thought, even though Mao's economic policies were completely reversed. This video is not about whether modern China is socialist or not, but rather to point out that once we interpret history from a materialist perspective, the similarities between Deng Xiaoping and Nikita Khrushchev's economic policies are undeniable.
Чтобы умчаться прочь от горя, бед и разочарования. Ну что же ты молчишь? Ты поплывешь со мной или проводишь равнодушным взглядом? Наверно, ты молчишь, потому что все равно прольюсь водою я или буду рядом. Наверно, ты молчишь, потому что все равно прольюсь водою я или буду рядом. Но я хочу весну, она мне снится по ночам, она похожа на печаль и на веселье.